there was a city council meeting the other day, and I just thought there was like one interesting piece worth kind of looking at here. In the consent docket, which is the part that gets voted on, there was a request, and this was like the initial hearing, so I guess it'll come back up in a couple weeks. But there was a request today for $102 million to aid the Chickasaw Nation in building a destination resort and water park adjacent to the First Americans Museum that opened late last year. The money comes from two TIF districts, A and 14. I haven't looked those up, but the total estimated cost of the development is over $342 million, with the Chickasaw Nation covering the costs beyond the TIF funds. So this thing is a 400-room hotel, 100,000 square feet indoor water park, 4.5 acres of outdoor adventure lagoon, a large retail space, 36,000 square feet of leasable retail and dining space, and it will also feature a ferry landing on the Oklahoma River.
Yeah, in one of the most polluted areas of town, they're trying to build this like fancy resort. That it's the nation. You know, they can do whatever they want, but like that area of town is low-key disgusting. It's not even low-key, it's legit. Like do not go there and spend a lot of time breathing that air. It is not good for you. Please don't do that.
Is the public going to receive a share from this?
So those are the kind of questions that really probably need to get asked.
City council.
So it says here the project will spend approximately $34 million on site amelioration and preparation, as the site was formerly an oil field. Site preparation began in March, so they've already started. Groundbreaking is to be determined, with a hopeful opening date in the second quarter of 2024.
No.
So like, I have a lot of questions around this. $102 million on a $342 million project is a lot. Like, that is like almost a third of the project, which means that taxpayers are kind of on the hook for that. Like the $34 million in site amelioration, like maybe we help with that. That makes some sense. If we need to lay some like roads or some infrastructure, like I get that. If we're going to connect it up to the river parks and stuff like that, like build a pedestrian bridge, I would get that. But $102 million? Like what for a luxury resort? Like that's like bigger than most of the MAPS projects. Like
we already have a water park. Like that was my first thought. I was like, we got Whitewater Bay just down the highway. Come on, get on down there.
We got Whitewater Bay. We also have the Boathouse District, which bills itself as like this water adventure type thing.
So it's like nobody wants to hang out in that area of town. It is not. It's right next to the highway. It's right next to so many industrial zones. It's sandwiched in between our two landfills. Like it's not a good place to be. It's really bad for you. It's really, really bad.
I'm just like, how much money do they anticipate this making over the course of the next like 10, 20, 30, 40 years? Like, and also 102, like, does this money get requested out of the MAPS funds, out of the city's general
No,
funds?
so it's a function, or it's a program called tax increment financing. And
right.
So it's a special, basically they've frozen the property taxes at various places and then built new stuff, and then whatever the difference in property tax from when they froze it was to what it is now gets dumped into a fund, usually for 25 years, and they can spend it however they want. And it's run by the Alliance for Economic Development. Voters don't get a vote on it. I mean, it's really there's a lot of it's a lot of money. It's pulling away from schools and the county and libraries and all this other stuff, and there's not a lot of discussion about many of these projects.
I have
like,
a question.
Yeah.
Does the Chickasaw Nation, is that who is in charge of FAM? Are they?
I think FAM is a collaboration.
Okay.
It's a collaboration between the states and several tribes, I believe, but I could be wrong on that.
I mean,
Chickasaws
OKC isn't technically Chickasaw Nation, so I'm just like wondering like why they're choosing to do this here.
I mean, I think like luxury resorts are considered by Wall Street and others like relatively safe, good investments. I mean, like they do well overall, and we don't have a very big luxury resort market. So I mean, I'm sure like, the Chickasaws they have huge business empires. I mean, they run WinStar Casino. I mean, they're familiar with this business, right? Like they've built luxury resorts. If they've done a market analysis and determined this is a good investment,
that's on them.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's like I'm all for them building a luxury resort if that's what they want to build with their private money. Like I don't, but I'm just saying like the taxpayers contributing $102 million to something that is, again, like it's a private development. Like, like we're not going to be able to go there and like stay in the hotel for fun, staycation. Like if we do, we have to pay for it. Like, so it's just the idea that we're going to dedicate $102 million to this project seems high.
I just don't like the fact that you're going to use the public's money to build your own company, and the only revenue that we're going to receive a return on is the sales tax for this. Like, that's just...
And maybe, I mean, like, it could be in the deal that they get, some of that goes into this, and, I mean, like, there's all sorts of things we just don't know yet. But, yeah, I mean, that's all we would get is this, in theory, is the sales tax.
I mean, normally that's what most cities and governments receive is just, like, the sales tax. But, I mean, look at the arena downtown. We pay to use it. We used our money to build it, but we don't, it's not a public good. It's not something that all of us have access to. It's just a handful of people. So if I'm not getting the rich, like it's here's my thing. The solution is to do what we do with the Green Bay Packers and make it publicly owned. Seriously, like that's how you can have nice things in your city and in your community. But the community, when they invest in it, will feel like they have more ownership of it and won't want to see it fail, as opposed to something like a taxing. Like, I just feel like it's sneaky taking $102 million from the public. That's a third of Oklahoma City's police department.
Yeah. It's a ton of money. It's a ton of money. And yeah, I mean, that's obviously, there's all sorts of ways you could write these deals. Is like, yeah, give us an equity stake in it. I mean, if we're going to loan you or borrow or incentivize you with that much public money, like, we want an equity stake. I don't think there's a single TIF that's been written that way, because the business owners would be like, well, we don't want to give that up, so we don't want to take that deal. And we'd be like, okay, then don't get $102 million from us. Like, because you couldn't go to like a bank or a private entity and say, hey, give me all this money without paying interest or, something. So yeah, I just think there needs to be a lot of questions, especially given how big the share of the project is. Like most TIFs only subsidize like 5 to 10% of a project. If you need a third of the total project in incentive money to make it work, like I have extreme doubts about the viability of your project. And I have a lot of questions about why you're getting such a good deal in the first place. So I don't know. I mean, I'm all for them developing that area. I mean, that museum took a long time to build. It's very nice. Like, sure, build some stuff.
My thing is it is really close to our industrial area. And, like, I'm scared we're just going to keep gentrifying that area and we're pushing the industrial shit further into the east side, which then just displace black people further and further out of Oklahoma City until we just don't live here anymore. And same thing goes for the next part of this article, Styles Park. It's like, you sold the oldest park in the city so they could build another fucking hotel.
How many people actually
Nobody's staying in these hotels. Like, cool, you want to build all these cool things that make us look like people come here. People aren't coming here. What are they going to do? I guess they'll go to the boathouse district and look at it, or...
Zip line? Hurt themselves on the zip line?
Everyone's talking about this damn zip line. Does anybody ever do that? How much does that cost?
It's very expensive.
See?
The boathouse is extremely expensive.
Although, I just want to say this. The reaction from 3 different city council people in this article is very spot on.
Right, James Cooper bringing up RoboCop is like, okay, thank you, millennial.
Like we love you, James. We know you love your movies, too. And you know what? A lot of people understood that reference. Ward 5, David Greenwell praising the success of private-public partnerships in Dublin, Ireland. It's just like, because it works. Because, boo, bro, like, you suck. And then innovation districts basically targeting the black community. So
That part right there.
you know,
This innovation district, what you really mean is just like changing it from an industrial zone into something more 2022 than, I guess, a bunch of oil refineries and cement processing places. But it's just, it's not good enough for me. Like, we should have kept that park. We could have made it something special. Yeah, that whole area of town, it's like just...
$102 million for some gas cards would be nice because
So-
I could drive in your fucking city.
So the funny thing too about the innovation district is like one of the anchor tenants. It's funny because on this map it's labeled right, but it's the OSU Ham Institute for American Energy. That was originally the GE Global Research Center. So we literally, GE had bought Baker Hughes, which is an oil company, like field service company. They virtually went bankrupt shortly after the deal. So GE built this beautiful brand new facility to do research, then basically fire sold it because it was no longer profitable. And so OSU ended up, so again, the Oklahoma taxpayers basically, with some helpful donations from Harold Ham, took it on and turned it into an educational facility. But like, their anchor tenant has been a disaster from the word go. Like, they all, again, got up, did the ribbon cutting, said, oh my God, GE's investing all this money here. And like, immediately the deal went south.
Right.
And it goes back to, it's like the canoe thing. It's like, why are we investing in bringing companies here who don't even make it 5 years? I mean, like, the GE was like out of the oil and gas business within like 5 years. And they acted like this is going to be the center for, you know, innovation in oil and gas. And it's like their bet was so bad and timing was so bad that they just immediately got out of it. Anyway.
It's just so embarrassing that we continually want to like prove ourselves to be something as a state, and it's like we're really only like proving to be the best in terms of stupidity. It's like we're making fucking dumb decisions. People think that they can come here and like their businesses will thrive and they can, you know, expand or whatever, but it doesn't happen. They like hit these roadblocks and then they dip.
Yep.
It's
So,
embarrassing. It's just embarrassing.
It is. And there's so many, you know, and a lot of startup funds just get fractions of the money because we give incentive money for a lot of these things. I mean, I can't remember how much the GE deal got, but I mean, I think it got tens of millions of dollars to come here and do this, and like literally went bust almost overnight, and then had to be rescued by Oklahoma State and Harold Ham. So it's crazy, really. So yeah, I'm glad to see people speaking out in the innovation district, but we'll see where it goes. Thanks for watching our video. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. If you want to engage with us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.